Hey, so for my next video, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show a video of transplanting an object. So it's basically like taking one object from one area and kind of putting it into a different image. And I had talked about I kind of did like my first video on something similar to this, where I was just kind of like transplanting an image and then putting it into like another image. Um, but I don't feel like that would be quite the same thing. This is like also just kind of editing it so that it's a little bit more um, polished, and that way you don't have it looking so extremely different. Uh, and I think that with the example that I have, I'm going to be able to get the two images to actually look somewhat seamless. All right, so I've downloaded these two images. I found these two images on CompFight, which, if you guys don't know, is like one of the best sites ever. Let's see here. These images. 525, okay. So let's switch this just to list. And no, let's do details. Alright, so this is our going to be our background for our image. We're going to have it in this nice city. And what I wanted to transplant into that is an image of this one. I wanted to take one of these images of these wind turbines and put it into the skyline because it's very eco-friendly. Come on. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try cutting this out of here, and we're going to put it into here. And hopefully I'm not blocking that off, because that would be sad. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of cut away here. I'm going to cut out the image because it's going to be basically the same way that I cut out the image in the first video. And then once I have everything selected, then I'll continue, okay? So just hang on for 1 minute here. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've actually done basically the same thing as I did the first time. I have kind of cut out this area, and what I want to do is I want to just copy what I have there, and I want to kind of copy it onto a new layer. But at the same time, I don't really want the rest of it. So I have that selection there, and if I click layer via copy, what it does is actually it takes my selection and it just transplants it onto that new layer. Now, something that I can do here is with my selection that I had there, let's just go back there. There we go. I can feather it, and what feathering does is it basically just trims off some of the edges and makes it a little bit more transparent. So if I was to select the inverse, I can get rid of this background here and just delete. It'll change the background into being transparent, and with the feathering, it'll actually fill. It'll get rid of that stuff I don't want. What are you doing? Okay. Let's just cancel that, because that's not what we're going to do. Alright, so we're going to go back to having what we had there. So we make a new layer. We're going to just go new, copy via, or layer via copy, and we have our nice little picture of the turbine. It's all feathered, which actually, looking at it, maybe we don't want. So, always really, really important to make sure that you know exactly what you want. Let's take one more step back. There we go. And now let's make that layer via copy. So, feathering can be super important, but in this case, I don't think we really need to. So, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to take our turbine here, and we're going to plant it into this picture, okay? So if we actually just take the layer, let's make this a window. There we go. So if we take the layer, we can actually just transplant it into this image. And if we take a look at it, we can actually see that this turbine needs to shrink. Because if we look at this image here, let's minimize that, our turbine is ginormous. Well, the turbines, I guess, are ginormous to begin with. Okay, so let's just start with that. We're going to scale it just like we did before. Hold Shift, and I'll drag it down so it looks like it would actually fit in the skyline. Let's pretend that our turbine would hang out somewhere behind that building. Doesn't matter. Look, right there. That looks good. Okay, so that's where we want our turbine to be. So we'll hit enter here, and I'll save the scale. It looks okay for scale. It doesn't look like it's going to chop any buildings in half. Great. So one thing we actually want is, because this image here should be in front, like this building should be in front of where this turbine is, otherwise it looks really weird. We're going to do basically the same thing, where we're just going to cut that, we're going to put it on a separate layer, and we're going to make sure that that layer goes in front of where the turbine is, okay? So we'll just really quickly do that because this building shouldn't take too long. We'll zoom into it. We're on the background layer selected, and we're just going to really quickly kind of cut around this building. Good, right. And we can select like around it. It doesn't have to be very exact here at the bottom, because all we really want to do is we want to just make sure that that stuff goes on a layer above it. Alright, so same thing, layer, new, layer via copy. And if we move this on top of that one, it makes it so the turbine goes behind it. Okay, so now we have this turbine, we have it in the city, there we go. And we want to make it look a little bit more like it would fit in. So there's a couple ways we can do that. One of the ways I kind of like, it makes it seem a little bit more faded and like, that's not the right layer. At times it wouldn't be the best option. But if we just want to make it look distant, right now what we could do is we could just kind of lower the opacity. And the opacity just makes it a little bit more see-through. And like that's fine, especially if it's something that's a little bit more nighttime-esque. Because at nighttime we can actually, it's basically just going to reduce the amount of light that we see. There's some other things that you can do here, like you can do some of these layer effects, and these layer effects I'm pretty positive can give it that more faded look, but we don't really need it to be anything more than that. So that is actually all we need to do. We've transplanted it in there, and we made it look a little bit more like it's at home there. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you have any comments that would help me be able to do that better or make that a little bit more efficient, let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate it, because like something like this is getting to be a little bit more tricky, and I want to be able to make sure that I'm able to do that properly. Cool. So thanks again, guys. I'm just going to save this here. Any comments, let me know in the comments below. Shout out to whoever took these images. They were great. You can find a link to the images in the description below. Thanks.